757%. That's how fast Dell's AI server revenue grew year over year, and it's about to reshape the entire week ahead. Good morning. This is the Financial Brief. Here's everything you need to know before the open. Oil just wrapped its worst month in 6 years. Brent crude is falling hard as markets price in a ceasefire between the United States and Iran. President Trump said Friday he'd convene in the White House Situation Room to make a final determination on a deal, but left the room without announcing one. That ambiguity normally spooks commodities traders. Instead, they sold anyway. And that tells you something important about how the market reads this situation. The consensus has shifted. Traders are now betting that a deal gets done, not that it falls apart. That's what analysts are calling the ceasefire discount, a dynamic where energy prices fall before any ink dries because the probability alone changes positioning. Now, you're probably thinking, what does cheaper oil actually mean for me? Here's the short version. Lower crude prices flow into gasoline, shipping costs, and eventually grocery bills. For investors, energy stocks face margin compression, but consumer discretionary names get a tailwind. Meanwhile, the dollar held steady overnight, and Treasury yields ticked slightly higher. Futures on the S&P and Nasdaq are pointing modestly up ahead of the open. But the real action isn't in the macro tape this morning. It's in individual names, and one in particular just did something historic. On the corporate side, Dell Technologies is the biggest story in pre-market trading. The stock skyrocketed 32% on Friday for its best single day ever, and there's momentum carrying into this morning. The numbers are staggering. AI server revenue surged 757% year over year. Total revenue growth hit its fastest pace since the company returned to public markets in 2018. CNBC reported that the quarter was so strong it's reigniting the entire data center thesis across the sector. But Dell isn't the only software-adjacent name moving. The iShares Expanded Tech-Software ETF climbed 8% last week and closed May up 21%, its best monthly performance since October 2001. Snowflake gained nearly 50% in just 4 trading sessions after announcing a $6 billion buyback. Okta posted a record stock pop of its own. The so-called SaaSpocalypse, that fear that AI tools like vibe coding would destroy traditional software companies, has gone quiet. Turns out some of these firms aren't being disrupted by AI. They're being supercharged by it. That doesn't mean the threat is gone. SentinelOne dropped 8% after trimming headcount and issuing weak guidance. So the winners and losers are splitting fast, and that split is exactly what makes this next week so critical. Turning to your watch list for today and the week ahead, the single biggest event on the calendar is Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang's keynote at Computex in Taiwan. This has historically been what traders call a stake-in-the-ground moment for Nvidia, often including new product announcements and forward guidance on AI chip demand. After Dell's blowout validated the infrastructure build-out thesis, every word Huang says will be passed for confirmation. Executives from ARM Holdings, Marvell Technology, Intel, and Qualcomm will also be presenting. If the messaging aligns with Dell's momentum, expect the AI trade to accelerate hard. If it disappoints, the gap between Dell's surge and Nvidia's recent underperformance becomes a much bigger conversation. Now, beyond tech, Merck is hosting a meeting to review its cancer drug pipeline following the ASCO conference, which matters for anyone holding biotech or pharma names. Dollar General reports earnings after rival Dollar Tree disappointed, so the consumer health picture gets another data point. And here's what you should actually be watching underneath all of this. The question isn't whether AI spending is real. Dell answered that. The question is whether the rest of the supply chain, from chips to networking to cybersecurity, can keep up. That's the thread connecting every major name moving this week. Markets open soon. This is a week that could define the AI trade for the rest of the year. Subscribe for tomorrow's brief. This has been the Financial Brief.